Hi, my name's Mike, and I'm going to lead you through a four-part series on Paul's letter to the Philippians. Now, this is one of four of Paul's prison letters, and he writes this to the church at Philippi. It was an important Roman colony in modern-day Greece, and it was along what was called the Ignatian Way. Now, there were not many Jews in the community. There was no synagogue, so you won't find any Old Testament quotes, but what you will find is that Paul wrote to thank them for their donation that they gave him, and also to encourage them to be content and to rejoice no matter their circumstances. And I pray you'll get the same from this, that you'll be content and that you'll be encouraged regardless of your circumstances today. Now, after his standard greeting, Paul says in verses 3 through 11, he thanks them and encourages them to live in the power of the Spirit. He writes this, I'm reading out of the New International Version, chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in the knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and be pure and blameless in the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God. Now that reminds me of John chapter 15, when Jesus teaches that I am the vine and you're the branches. And so that makes us think, how am I connecting with Christ if he is my vine? Moving along in verses 12 through 26, Paul writes about the circumstances leading to the growth of the kingdom of God, or the gospel. And he says this, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it's become clear throughout the whole palace guard and everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. So that leads us to think, how can we use our circumstances to spread the gospel? And how can we do so fearlessly? Finally, he talks in verses 27 through 30 about living a life worthy of the gospel. He says, whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come to see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know you stand firm in one spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. You know, John writes in chapter 4 of his first letter, he says this, whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar, for whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. And so as we live in a manner worthy of the gospel, I encourage that we think about how we're treating one another, regardless of our circumstances. So to recap, Paul is saying, number one, how can you live connected to me? How are you connecting with Jesus Christ to live a life filled with the Spirit? How are you communicating the gospel? And then how are you treating others? That's chapter 1. Next time we'll go over chapter 2, talking about following Christ's example of humility. God bless you and keep you.